If you're a Reds fan, here's the question that's been driving us crazy all season. Is this team actually better than its record, or is 43 and 52 exactly who they are? Tonight, we're breaking down why the season has unraveled, what the front office should do before the trade deadline, and whether there's any reason to believe a second half run is still possible. Plus, has the home run derby become a bigger event than the All-Star game itself? And we'll wrap things up by looking at the World Cup semifinals and one rule that has fans everywhere debating whether technology has gone too far. We've got opinions, we've got questions, and we want to hear yours. This is the Cincy Sports Scene podcast. And welcome back to the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. I'm your host, Dave, along with my son, Sam. And today we're going to be talking Reds, World Cup, trivia. So you want to stick around, you don't want to miss it. Let's just get right into it, Sam. The question, I guess, that we need to answer here for our listeners are the Reds actually better than their record, or is it exactly who they are? And for those of you that don't know, their record is 41 and 53. They sit 15 and a half back. So that's the question. Overall theme: are they who they are, or are they closer to being contenders or closer to another rebuild? I guess that's what we probably want to answer first.
Yeah, I think we know the answer. They're not contending this year. And, I mean, depending on moves that they make in the offseason and at this upcoming deadline, probably won't be next year either.
So we're looking at another rebuild.
I think we're looking at another rebuild. And I don't want to say like an all-out rebuild, but there's going to be some guys that we thought would be a part of this new rebuild being contenders that we're going to be moving off of. I mean, Lodolo, you've got to get off of him.
Well,
I don't even know if he's got any value because I mean every month he's going on the IL with a blister.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he can't figure that out. How nobody can figure this out for him. Makes no sense. At some point, shouldn't your fingers be calloused so you aren't getting blisters anymore?
You would think. You would think, but
I don't know. He makes 3-4 starts and then he's got another blister. The guy can't stay healthy to save his life.
well, it's not. Well, I wouldn't say. Yeah, I guess blisters are health issues, but they're.
But I mean, he's also had other issues his first couple years, and now those seem to have been rectified. But now these last 2 seasons, it's like his fourth IL stint with a blister.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't like that's ridiculous. I've never heard of a guy getting a blister that often.
Not that often.
That's
I've heard it. It's happened, but
yeah, it happens occasionally. But I mean, seriously, I think it's his fourth time in 2 seasons
yeah.
that he's going on the IL with a blister.
Right. And he's
I mean, if
missing
you
sometimes up to
3 starts, yeah,
6 weeks. The start of
and
the
like
season.
you,
So
how are you supposed to rely on somebody like that? I know after this year he's still got 2 more years of team control, but you've got to try and get some value out of him while you can. So I think he's somebody that is going to be gone in the offseason because you can't trade him at the deadline. Nobody's going to take somebody on the IL.
well, we'll get into the trade deadline here in a little bit, but a couple of things. I mean, we talked about injuries, right? Every Red podcast, they complain about the injuries and yada 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 yada. But you know what? You just watched the last series going into the break against the Cubs, and they have been ravished by injuries to their pitching staff. I mean, worse than the Reds. I mean, their bullpen is horrible, but yet somehow they're in second place. Leading the wild card. Granted, they're spending money on players. They got a nice group of young kids that are producing.
That helps when your cheaper labor is producing the way that I mean, outside of Sal, who on a cheap contract, who on a minimal contract from the Reds, has done anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Not, and I guess that's our the talking point here, right? And we spent a little time last week, and if you haven't listened to the podcast last week, go ahead. It'll be linked in our description. But we talked about good organizations survive injuries, right? So why haven't the Reds? They're not a good organization, right? Because we don't have the depth that other teams have, major league ready depth, or we're too penny pitching conscious to bring up guys and put them on the 40 man so that their clock starts early. And we're like, oh, we'll wait. And then when we do bring them up, they have one stellar week and that's it. Reese Hines, Aquino. I mean, you could go on and on. Will Benson had, a stretch there for a while, but Matt McLean, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about, this organizational depth and
Keep going real quick. I'll be right back.
okay. And the player development piece of the organizational. So that's probably the biggest thing, is where the good organizations survive the injuries. Yes, they have money to pump in, but the Reds were willing to, I guess, if you want to say it, they're willing to spend a little more money to bring in Kyle Schwarber, but not enough to move the needle. Kyle Schwarber did say that it was a very tempting offer, and they were sincere in their offer, but Philly gave him more, and he was more comfortable in Philadelphia. So, it's twofold. It's I think it goes to the draft, and we'll get into the draft here in a little bit about how they are approaching the draft, why they're doing the drafting like they're doing, and is that a feasible plan? So we don't know. So as when Sam comes back, we'll get into this. But one question I do want to pose to all of you out there is this, and you can leave it in the comments, etc. So, can the Reds become this better organization, and what has to happen? Leave that in the comments here, and we'll as we go through the Reds here, let's we'll give you our, I guess, our take on it. So the other issue, right, is we injuries. Everybody has injuries. The Reds, they can't overcome it. What about the bullpen, right? You've got the bullpen that was really pretty good in April, and then May and June hit and not very good at all. Granted, I hate to keep harping back on the injuries, but you lose Ashcraft, Pagan. Now Tony's on the IL, so that's your 7th, 8th, and 9th guys, high leverage guys that are gone. Now Tony moved into the closer role, and he was bad. He was just bad early on. How cheap arms, trying to fix it on the cheap and bringing up rookies. Is Francona being forced to manage differently because of the lack of talent of arms? What's your, who do you trust in the 8th inning?
I don't trust anybody, to be honest. I think you just kind of have to. You got to go with your gut and play the matchups as best you can, because you don't have one guy that you can just say, all right, he's my guy here. I don't care that they've got 2 lefties up. I'm still throwing this righty. I think you're going to have to play the matchups and live with the results, because that's all you can really do when you don't have that guy that you actually trust.
Yeah, I agree there, 100%. On paper, some of their arms look good. The bullpen was going to be, the pitching was going to be a strength. And I said, going in to the season, my question mark was Pagan. Could he repeat what he did last year? And as of right now, the answer is no, because of the hamstring injury. But the rest of the bullpen isn't repeating anything close to last year as well. So, obviously pitching only is half of the game, or really a third of the game. You've got fielding and hitting. So what about the offense here, right? Is it a bad offense, or is it more of an inconsistent offense?
No, it's bad. They're bad.
Going with inconsistent. No. Just going with bad, huh?
They've got 2 guys who, when they're up, I like their chances with Sal and Ellie. Steer's okay, but the rest of the guys, I don't really have any faith in that they're going to pull through when you need them to, or anything like that.
Well, I will say,
we've seen Friedel fall off now for 3 straight years, so it's not inconsistency anymore. It's just straight up regression. And so he's turned into a bad player now. Someone that he shouldn't be an everyday player anymore. So they're going to need to find a solution there. And Suarez has not worked out bringing him back. It just didn't. The power's not there at all, which is a huge disappointment.
Well, he's got 11 now. Granted, he was on.
Yeah,
the IL,
11. Right. So yeah, he's on pace to hit 20. Like, it's someone we brought in to hit 35, 40 home runs. Mm-hmm. And he's not even going to get he might get to half of that. That's tough. I know he had a little stint on the IL, like you said, but it's just been disappointing. The bats just have not been there, and this is I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years in a row where the bats just haven't been there in Great American Ballpark, which is
Crazy.
it's
Crazy.
baffling. It makes no sense to me how we cannot get a competent offense put together.
Well, I think it starts with, a couple of things, right? When you're trying to build an offense, one, you know, I guess there's an older philosophy and this newer philosophy. The old philosophy was, you had a contact hitter as your leadoff hitter, somebody who could steal bases. Your second hitter is the one who was a really good contact hitter, could move the runner along. Your 3, 4, and 5 hitters were your meat of your order, your power, your RBI guy, probably your highest average guy batting third, those type of things. Now that's not the case. I mean, if you look at Philadelphia, Schwarber's leading off, most nights, unless there's a left-handed pitcher, and then, Trey Turner's leading off. But, the Cubs is another example where they don't do a traditional lineup anymore. And I guess that's, are the Reds, I know Francona here in the last 2 weeks, put Ellie 1 and Sal 2. So he's, gone, he's trying it. And, the problem is, and when I played baseball, and I know I'm dating myself going way back. I had a conversation with my coach my senior year, and he wanted me to go from leadoff to bat third because I had the highest average and I could drive in runs. And I said, well, why don't you want me leading off? He goes, well, I don't know if anybody can drive you in. And I said, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because if nobody can drive me in, then how is people going to get on for me to drive them in? Yeah. I said, so wouldn't you rather have me get on first, steal second, steal third, and then, a ground ball or whatever could score? And he was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I didn't want to come out of the leadoff hitter because I love batting the leadoff. And yeah, so, I stayed at the leadoff hole, and sure enough, I mean, I created a lot of runs, and I guess that's what he's trying to do with Ellie. But once again, is Ellie 100% healthy? Is he willing to steal those bases? Is Francona going to give him the green light to steal anytime he wants to? Or, yeah.
But you have to let him do that. If you're just batting him leadoff and then you don't let him steal anything, what's the point?
Or you can't say, well, he shouldn't have, he needs to learn when to run, when not to run, right? No, turn him loose.
No, turn him loose, especially right now. Yeah. What are they doing by not doing it? Let it. So what if he gets thrown out at second base? I don't care. No, the dudes behind him are going to strike out anyways. So just let him. Exactly. That's our best chance, is letting him steal second, third, and then maybe even home too. So get him healthy and let him run.
Yeah. And and I think this whole approach to hitting, I don't mind that approach of right center field. I really don't. But I think they're preaching it too much, and I think guys are looking to drive the ball the other way all the time instead of sitting on a pitch. Sitting on a pitch or location, say, if I get this pitch or location, I'm a hacking. And then when you get 2 strikes, then you look at going the other way, putting the ball in play, those type of things. And that's the difference, I think, of, one of the differences of the games today and versus the games of, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where you had guys hitting, 300, a couple of guys hitting 300 on your team.
Right.
And today, if you have a 300 hitter in your lineup, it's rare.
There's a couple guys in the whole league hitting 300. Yeah, exactly. I think there's only 23 guys hitting above 280.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah. You watch All-Star games from the 90s, every single guy was over 300, and if they weren't, they had 35 bombs. Right. And they were still hitting 270, 280, And now, if you got a guy hitting 270, I mean, that's your MVP candidate.
And I will say this too, back, 20 years ago, and there's a lot of, data out there that proves, managers, teams are building their bullpens. Starting pitching gets you to 5 innings, and then the bullpen takes over. So when you see fresh arms all the time, your average is going to go down a little bit when these guys are throwing 100, 98 miles an hour. So you are going to, the average is going to be affected a little bit. But striking out all the time, not putting the ball in play very often it's crazy. It's just crazy to see that. I don't know. I still would like to see pitchers go 7 innings and then turn it over to the bullpen. it's worked for a long time. So yeah, so I guess the next question is there hope for this franchise? What are some reasons to believe in this franchise?
I mean, the young talent prospects, I mean, they're still highly regarded. The issue is once they get up to the big leagues, they kind of stop developing. So I mean, we're always going to have that promise in our farm system that has a little bit of excitement, like, oh man, these 3-4 guys can all put it together at the same time. The team's going to be special. The issue is they never do. I mean, I can't think of the last time where we've had 4 prospects come up around the same time.
Well,
and then they've had good careers, not just good little spurts like 2023.
Well, I was going to say 2023 was,
but where they had a good 3, 4, 5 year run. Like I can't think of that. I can't think of that time.
I mean, Votto, Bruce.
Yeah, Votto and Bruce. Who's the third? Who's the pitcher that came with that group?
There was no pitchers.
Cueto? I mean,
maybe, yeah.
But that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Because Phillips wasn't there.
Frazier was Phillips, but we didn't.
Phillips wasn't their farm guy though. They traded for Phillips.
Traded for Phillips. Yeah.
Yeah. He was already kind of a big leaguer. He was a 4A player for Cleveland when they got him.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he was. And then he turned into an all-star with us. Mm-hmm. But so where's that? Where's the guy we get that turns into an all-star instead of Will Benson, who has a hot month, and then 3 years later we're still waiting on that again.
We don't go after the big-time prospects anymore. I mean, we don't trade for those.
Right, because Phillips was a first-round pick.
Right.
Well, to be fair, Will Benson was too.
Yeah, he was. But here's the thing, right? Cleveland got rid of him. Francona didn't like, that was the red flag. Bring Francona in and Will Benson here.
That's not working out.
Yeah, it's not working out. I mean, it's not. And I know, yeah, but I don't know. The only other time in 1999 was another year when we traded for Casey.
Yeah.
Or 98, whenever it was. We traded for Casey. We brought in Greg Vaughn. Those type of acquisitions, and Pete Harnish, Shurik, those guys, had good years. And, we lost in the 1-game playoff back then. And so yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, it's been a long time. We've, the Reds sell hope. It's sort of like what the Bengals do, right? They sell this hope. And I guess that's why opening day, spring training opening day is special because it's that renew of hope. Hey, we're still in it until we're not, but we know, us diehard Reds fans, we don't want to acknowledge that, yeah, we're probably not going to make the playoffs again this year at the start of spring training. Because we're like, there's that hope. If Ellie has a good year, McLean can do what he did in that little short stretch. If Green can stay healthy, Lodolo stay healthy. If Abbott can be consistent, a lot of ifs in that.
Yeah,
a lot of ifs. So the hope, right? Green, Abbott, Ellie, Sal Stewart, Chase Burns. That's a good core. I mean,
it is.
You put that core on the Dodgers or the Brewers. I mean, they're winning 110.
Oh, they're building around it. Yeah.
I mean, holy cow. Here we'll be lucky to win 82.
Right. Lucky to finish above 500.
Right.
Back your way into a wild card spot. Yeah.
So those are reasons for hope, but reasons not for hope. Our division is just loaded. I mean, the Brewers, if one thing that we can do is we need a model.
We need to steal somebody from their organization.
Right.
Please.
And the last time we had success, we stole from the Cardinals, right? Jocketty came over.
Yeah, took Jocketty. Yep.
And he traded a lot of prospects, which you need to do, if you want to contend. But as we get into this trade deadline, this approach, the question is, what's the worst thing they can do? Well, the worst thing they can do is nothing, because Hunter Green's coming back, and this and this. It's nothing. If they're buying at the trade deadline, I don't know why they would. Or what? Yeah. There's, unless you get somebody like a JJ who's on 4 years, still has 4 years of control. I don't know. If you're selling, what are you selling? What can you sell? I mean,
Green and Lodolo would be kind of the first two names that pop up that would have actual value.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, but then you look at our pitching depth.
Right. that takes a serious
It
hit.
takes a huge hit. I mean,
I mean,
yesterday,
we've seen it tested because those two guys are hurt.
right,
So we see kind of, oh, we don't necessarily have the depth that we thought we did coming into the season.
right.
We thought those two guys would be healthy, but, they're not.
I mean, at this point, I think you have to keep Hunter Green. I don't think you
And try and get his value back up.
Yeah, and then maybe you'll get more in the off season, I think, than you will at the trade deadline.
Probably, yeah.
So I mean, if you sell him,
well, I don't know because he's already had his injury this year. You know what I mean? Like he's good for one prolonged injury stint. He's already had it. So if you're a team that's buying, and you're going into next year, it's like when's his injury going to come in next year? Do we want to deal with that? I don't know if that's something teams actually look at, but just from a fan, it seems like that's kind of how he ends up working out.
If you look over the history when like trade deadlines, teams are more reluctant to give up, I think, their best prospects at trade deadlines, just because, especially if it's for a rental, and in this case,
Right.
Hunter Green is
But
not.
Hunter Green's not. Right.
And I think, but overall, during the winter meetings, off seasons, that's when they can get more for bang for their buck. But yeah, selling wise, I think it makes sense to shop Lodolo, but you can't shop him now. He's going to have to be an off season.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at Pagan, I think Pagan is he's going to make 12 next year for this team. Why?
Right.
I mean, okay, save 15 ball games. I mean, really, maybe 25 ball games. Ty Stevenson is starting to heat up a little bit. The question there is, okay, if you're not going to sign him to like a 2-year, 3-year contract, in which there has been no indication that they are planning that, because if they would be in negotiations. They would have been in negotiations last year through this season, and they haven't had any type of talk. So if that's the case, you have to move him at the trade deadline. You can't let him walk for a compensation pick, right? You just can't. You've got to get something for him. And this is where the Reds have failed as an organization, because they hold on to their trade pieces past the deadline, and to give fans hope that, oh, they might make a run. And we're not selling in the season yet, because they want the attendance. They want to make some more money. It's all about making money for this team. It's not about winning games. It's about how much profit we can make. And for these 20 years that the Castellini family has owned the Reds, this is their MO. And Jocketty, one of the reasons why he got out, I mean, him and Castellini are good friends, but Bob wasn't willing to spend all that money. He wasn't, because he did, and it they didn't win a series, right? They got to it 2 years in a row and lost. So, or not 2 years in a row, but every other, 2010.
Yeah, 2 out of 3. Yeah,
2 out of 3. And they went after Scott Rowland, right? They traded a lot of prospects for Rowland, but that's what they needed.
Well, I mean, you look, Jockey came from the Cardinals. He brought in Rowland, and he brought in Ryan Ludwig in 2012 to play left field for him too. And I'm pretty sure he brought in Skip Schumacher just to kind of be, a bench guy, like a veteran just on the bench.
Right.
And who are those guys on this team? It was supposed to be Suarez.
Yeah, but I don't know. All right, and I guess you're still there.
That was weird. Yeah, it's like reset on me. But yeah, like who's the veteran? It's supposed to be Suarez. That hasn't worked out. Who are these guys?
Nathaniel Lowe. I mean, he's a veteran.
He's a veteran, but he was a spring training invite.
Well, yeah, he was, but
I mean,
World Series.
He did, but if you're one of these young guys that thinks highly of himself, thinks you're going to be a star, this dude's a journeyman. He was a spring training invite after 5 years in the big leagues. Do I really want to take advice from him? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I mean, no, I played high school varsity baseball. Like, who am I to say anything about that? Like, yeah, obviously I'd take advice from Nathaniel Lowe. But if you're Sal Stewart or if you're Ellie and you've got pictures of a $300 million contract, this dude's a career minimum player who couldn't even find a team that wanted him. Like, okay, dude, Whereas Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
So where's that guy?
They don't want to.
Where's that all-star?
Well, and I guess
at the very least.
Yeah, and I guess the next question is the reason why. It's like we would trade prospects, right? I mean, we would trade prospects. The Reds hold on to their prospects because that is their MO. That's how a small market team has to build, right? Well, you look just, 5 hours north, 6 hours north to Milwaukee, yeah, their prospects but they get rid of their stars before it's too late.
Yeah. So they get rid of them a year early instead of a year late.
Devin Williams, Josh Hader, right? I mean, these are all
Corbin Burns. Yeah.
Corbin Burns. The kid who was like an all rookie team, played third base for him last year. He got traded this offseason.
Yeah. What was his name? I can't remember what his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. I mean, yeah, they took a hit with the Hader one. The fans were really upset about that, but guess what? They kept winning.
Hasn't hurt them.
Devin Williams, it was another one, right? I mean, here comes Devin Williams. He's shutting down, and then they're like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to trade you in the thick of a pennant race. We're trading you. Did it hurt them? No. Now, granted, they didn't get to the World Series, but would they have? Probably not. Not when you got the Dodgers sitting right there with all the money in the world. So yeah, you have to trade your prospects, or your prospects have to be major league ready, and you need to trade a Matt McClain, right? A Ty Stevenson before now, because you're not going to get a ton. If you'd have traded him last year at the deadline, you'd have got a lot more for him. But who's going to take a catcher who you may not re-sign to a long-term deal, right?
Right. You're not giving up anything of real value.
No. So yeah. And I guess that goes, who's untouchable in this organization? I say 3 players, maybe.
That's what I was thinking. 3 guys.
Sal, Chase, and Ellie. And Ellie, you may need to do a Juan Soto trade, like what the Nationals did, right? And
if you get a Godfather offer, you might have to consider it.
Yeah, because you're not going to re-sign him.
No,
because of who his agent is. You're not getting hometown discount like you did with Hunter Green.
No, you got to remember this too. Ellie did that same stuff Fernando Tatis got caught up in.
Yeah.
That take, X amount of dollars for a certain percentage of your future earnings. Mm-hmm. He's not signing for cheap. He's not taking one of those Hunter Green type deals to get a little bit of money early.
Right.
Because he doesn't want to have to give that little bit of money up, and now he's got. I mean, what was the point in that for him, right? He's waiting for the $300 million contract.
Yeah.
And if you're not giving that to him,
the Reds aren't going to give it to him because
it might be. I mean, this is year 4 with Ellie up here.
Right.
He's only got 2 more seasons.
Yeah. So you're not giving him that. The Reds are not giving him that amount of money. They're not, just because they did that.
Then they haven't won anything with him. So there's no, at least with Votto. Votto won an MVP. Votto made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It made sense. And
at the time, people say, well, that was a lot of money. But when you look back at it, it actually was
a decent contract. It was $20 million a year.
Yeah, it was really decent. It was.
You paid Nick Martinez 21 last year.
Right. Yeah.
You got Votto for a really good number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you did. Well, Martinez was an all-star.
Well, okay.
They're all all-stars now, right? It's like, all right. So moving on, the draft happened last weekend as well, and let's talk a little bit about the draft. And
we got LeBron.
Yeah, we got LeBron. Congrats, and I do want to say this wholeheartedly. Congrats to all the players who got drafted, because that is a dream of everybody who's ever played baseball, is to get drafted and have a shot at going in. But with that said, we need to discuss the philosophy. We need to discuss, the college versus high school picks, pitching versus power bats. And we touched a little bit on it last episode where we were okay with drafting, shortstops or the best player available. And, LeBron, he, on a lot of draft boards before the college baseball season started, he was could have been number 1 overall.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was in the running.
Getting him at 18 is not, it's not like, who's this kid? Just because he hit two whatever in the SEC. There's the Reds draft on potential, obviously, and there's a ton of that there with him. My question though, I like the philosophy in a way of drafting athletes, But what I don't like is, drafting all these shortstops and like you said before, it's like, okay, who's gonna play short, who's not gonna play short, and they need to figure that out before they get to rookie ball. And they did say that LeBron is going to be learning center field in rookie ball when he reports to Arizona. The whole philosophy of this thing is we have to draft and develop players. And okay, best player available, which I'm okay with. But here's the debate, right? College or high school, college or high school, college or high school. And I think the Reds had shifted their philosophy because it used to be they like to draft a lot of the high schools and high school players and then develop them, right? Now they're shifting their thought to let's get these college kids because they don't have to spend as much time in the minors and they can help the ball clubs sooner.
It's not even that. It's NIL as well. These high school kids that are getting drafted in the third or fourth round, they're not signing for 200,000 like they used to,
right?
Because they can go get that in college.
Well, and that was my next thing was the kid from Moeller, right? Matt,
right?
Who's going to Kentucky. They drafted him 18.
He's gonna play football anyways, but
his dream is to play in the NFL or in the Major League Baseball. He said he always wanted to be drafted to play baseball, but he ain't signing with the Reds.
No.
And I know the Reds do that periodically just to.
They always take a local guy that's a top recruit kind of just to see, I remember, from my era, they did it with Benintendi too. Like they took him in like the 25th round, even though everybody knew he was going to Arkansas, just in case,
Just in case
yeah. And it gets the city talking about it a little bit. Oh, hey, the Reds drafted this guy. We know he's not signing or whatever, but
there's hope.
But they do but that's every team. Shoot, all of Griffey's kids got drafted and they didn't even play baseball. Like teams do this all the time as favors for guys and stuff like that, it's cool.
It is, and they that's why they didn't waste a high draft pick on it, right?
Exactly.
Now, if I would say if they would have went like number 3, number 2, or number 3, you might have had an opportunity, but to sign them.
Yeah.
But you're right. These kids who are getting drafted 15 on down, if they have a lucrative offer to play college baseball at a Big Ten school, they're going to take it. Because their NIL money is going to be better.
Well, and the NCAA allows more scholarships for baseball teams now too. Right. I think it's up to like 25 full scholarships they can give out now, which is pretty much the whole roster. So stuff like that
helps.
It helps kids go the college route instead of twiddling around in the minors for 4 years.
Right, and you don't have to develop them as much.
Right. That's on the college, and now you can draft an almost finished product where they're just in the minors for a year or two, like Chase Burns and Rhett Lauder, and they're ready to come up to the big league team.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've always been a fan of taking college arms. Just they learn a little bit more how to pitch. They're a little more ready. They're only a year or two in the minors.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about that is a lot of times, these college coaches, I'll say they're probably getting better just because I think they have to.
But yeah, they work.
Yeah, they work them a lot.
They
work them a lot.
They're going for 3 games. Yeah.
They're throwing the ball and they're pitching 70 games out of their 80 games they're playing. So yeah. So that's where like a Hunter Green, you went number 2, and got him.
And guess what? He still got injured.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He still has injury, arm issues all the time.
Yeah, he should have been a shortstop because he was a shortstop.
Yeah,
right?
He was. He was a first-round pick either way.
Right.
Like when Hunter Green came out, like that was the talk. He's a first-round pick either way. Which one?
Yeah, was he going?
What's he going to do?
Or number 2, right? It was whoever was before. I can't remember who got picked.
It was Royce Lewis from the Twins.
That's right.
It took him one. Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to the All-Star game. It happened last night. So I guess the question is, does anybody actually watch 9 innings anymore?
I had it on for about 3, and then I was like, "What am I doing with my evening?" No, I'm not doing this.
Well,
I've been in the sports mode, just watching the World Cup. I watched the semifinal yesterday, and so I was like, I want to watch sports.
Yeah.
And then that was on, and yeah, it's an All-Star game, but I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, or if the All-Star games in general are just getting worse. But man, I remember that I loved watching the All-Star game. That was, in part, we lived in Indiana, couldn't watch all the Reds games, so it was, a baseball game to watch. And it was fun seeing, the one Red that would make the team every year.
Right.
But I don't know. I have no real desire to watch these games
Well,
anymore.
I watched.
And they're duds. They suck.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched probably about 2 or 3 innings, like intently. I thought it was pretty cool that they had the pitcher and catcher mic'd up in the first inning. That was pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's cool to see that. I
yeah,
mean, they had Schwarber mic'd up when he
yeah,
was batting,
yeah.
like, which is pretty
I
cool.
mean
But
stuff like that. The player introductions was pretty cool where they and I missed it. I saw it on a replay where they went out and signed the Declaration of Independence. Baseball did a great job of playing into the 250-year anniversary. It was in Philly.
in Philly, yeah.
Those kind of things, right? So, the thing is, does the home run? I did not watch the home run derby because I don't find that thrilling anymore.
I
I watched the.
They need to go back to the outs. Go back to the outs.
Yeah.
I want to see as many home runs as possible. I want to see Josh Hamilton hit 28 home runs in one round. Like, why we get away because it took 3 hours? Like, who cares?
3 hours.
Who cares?
Players were tired afterwards, and they had that home run derby slump. So it's just.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch it either.
Players are
The
soft
Derby.
anymore. I mean, sorry, but they are.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was on Netflix now. So
Yeah, I didn't.
if I had set out to watch it, I would have been like, it's not even on TV. So
right. Yeah, it's like the streaming crap sucks too. But I enjoyed the game. I had it on, but I was doing other things as I was watching it. I wanted to see Sal Stewart, and he walked and then he grounded out to end the game. Typical Reds, right? I mean, I don't think any Red has done anything.
nope. Scooter Jeanette hit the game-tying home run. I want to say 2017 or 18 in Washington Nationals Park.
Okay.
Hit it in like the eighth inning.
Okay.
But other than that, you're right. It's never a Red that does anything.
And in our trivia questions, we're foreshadowing here. You're gonna have to get your thinking cap on for a little all-star trivia. All right, but but I will say this though: out of all the all-star games, MLB is the closest thing to the
real game.
sport,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, football. Football is just they just don't even want to do it. So
no, I mean, well, they play flag football now, so it's not
skills games and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I try because the NHL did the skill stuff and that's pretty cool. But the NBA, you forget about even watching that.
No, yeah, no. I mean, I watched the 3-point contest, which has overtaken the dunk contest. The 3-point contest can get pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the amount of skill that these shooters have now. That's actually, to me, that's worth watching. But anything else the NBA puts out for their All-Star weekend's not worth anything. And I'd love for the MLB to have an additional thing besides the home run derby. I don't know what it would be, but it seems like, like the NHL, they've got 2 or 3. The NBA's got 2 or 3 kind of auxiliary things they do around it. I mean, it'd be nice to see something else. I know, like Japan's All Star, they have a bunt contest as well. They've set up little targets, but nobody here bunts. So,
you know what they should do? They should put the managers in a dunking booth and let the pitchers throw.
Yeah,
and see who can dunk the opposing manager the most,
right,
or something.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't do that because they might hurt their arm, throw out their arm, because you can't do who could throw the fastest, right? I mean.
Right, exactly.
They're going to say, no, you're not allowed to do that. So, because we still have 80 or 70 games left in the season.
I was thinking, in my head, okay, we're gonna do like a tag up contest. We're gonna tag from third. We're gonna put fielders out in right field, and we're gonna make it like limbo. So the fielder comes in like as each round they get closer and closer to home plate. And whoever can still outrun it. So it's like a speed thing. I don't know. I'm just kind of like throwing stuff out here. Like, just another thing that I think would be fun to see.
Yep, that's true. That would be good. All right, enough with baseball. We're going to move on to the World Cup. As we are coming to you, there are 3 teams left. Big game today between Argentina and England. France lost to Spain 2-0 yesterday. So I guess my question now to you is, who is the favorite heading in? Which out of the 3, who's the favorite?
Probably Spain, because they knocked off the actual favorite in France. And I mean, Spain's only given up 1 goal so far in the 7 games that they've played, which is insane. I mean, that's unheard of to have 6 clean sheets and only give up 1 goal. I mean, defensively, they're the best team maybe ever. I mean, they don't make mistakes on the defensive end.
So then let me ask you this: who's under the most pressure then? Is it
England. It's
England?
England. It's always England. Yeah. If you have a soccer question about pressure, it's always England. That's the answer.
Why is that?
It's the birthplace of soccer, right? Like they created it, and they've only got 1 World Cup, and they don't have one basically in 2 generations. Since '66 was their last one. They've had some heartbreaks, like they haven't won the European Championships either, right? So they've won nothing. I mean, they consider themselves the best because they have the best league in the world. Like everybody acknowledges that they have the best league in the world. So you would think then that they would have a country that's consistently competing for World Cups and European Championships, and that's just not the case. The last World Cup, I think they lost in the Final Four. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. With the last Euro, they lost in the championship game, or the last 2 they lost in the championship game. So, and their media is unlike anything else when it comes to soccer. It's they have guys that will fake injuries before international segments so that they don't have to play for the national team. They get the call up, but they don't have to play. Like that's how much pressure those guys are under. Argentina won the last one. Messi got the monkey off his back. They're just going to play free. Obviously they'd love to win, but they don't have the pressure like England does.
Let's talk this review, the replay review, and the delayed review. I understand it, but I don't know if I like it because it just kills momentum. It's like you score a goal and you're celebrating, or like there's a offsides, and they continue, let the play go, which, like I said, I understand that, but then they score a goal and the place is going crazy, and then the flag comes up and it's under review, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's just like, oh, and then they take the goal off, and you're like, because that's what happened in the Norway, right? Norway, England,
right, yeah,
and it just, I think that just, Uncle Mo just went the other way, to England, because it would have been the tying goal, and it wasn't. So I just want to hear your thoughts on that delayed replay.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem. There's problems with every replay in every league. Soccer's is a little more frustrating just because it seems to only come into play on goals, So you're taking the points off the board more so than in any other sport. And then, like, the punishment for it is so much more severe, right? You review a touchdown, well, it's not a touchdown. Well, it's first and goal at the 1, Whereas now, no, it's the other team's ball because you were offsides, right? So it's a little more punitive when you go to the actual replay, but it's more important to get the calls right. As far as like the offsides goes, I think we will see a change to what offsides actually is, because in the spirit of the rule, having your toe offsides is, that's bonkers, right? We're really getting far away from what replay was supposed to be, which is clear and obvious, right? If you have to get into this automated machinery stuff, that 3D maps where everybody is on the field at all times,
right.
That's not really clear and obvious anymore. And so I think the rule itself will get modified to allow a little more leeway for the attacking players, which will hopefully limit VAR's involvement, although it'll just turn into a different point that they're looking at.
Right.
But
well, one way to make it more obvious or not is, like, everybody has to wear like a little shocker, something that beeps and glows. So if they go offside, they get shocked and they can't go any further or something, sort of like the wireless fence. But yeah, you're right. Cause yes, they are offsides. And to me, it's like, okay, when they kick the ball, then are they onside, or is it, so that's the whole
it's supposed
right?
to be the last deliberate touch, right? So if it's kicked and you're under pressure and it takes a deflection off that first defender, it's when the offensive player kicks it. It's not that second touch, right? So that can kind of throw it off a little bit as well. But when you look at why offsides was put in, it was to prevent cherry picking.
Right. Which makes sense.
Teams don't play that way anymore. They play a very high possession based game where they build from the back. Whereas the old school thought was you want to kick it as far as you can. That way you're further away from your goal.
Right.
So it makes sense you don't want guys to cherry pick, but now nobody plays that way anyways. So I think you have room to modify the rule to allow.
Would they go back to that though if they said there was no offsides? Would they go back to it?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
You put
Because
Hadlin down there and just let him go get the ball?
yeah, but I mean, teams wouldn't play as such. Teams play a high line because of the offsides rule, so they would play a deeper line to begin with to eliminate some of that space.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, teams are so good at keeping possession.
Well, they are.
If you're Norway and you're playing Spain, Holland can't cherry pick because you need him back playing defense. Otherwise, you're not touching the ball. So, it would be, I guess, matchup dependent, which would create, some more strategy, which would be fun to see, I guess. But you'd see more of that at the lower level. You'd see it a bunch in MLS.
Yeah.
But in the high school, yeah. Yeah, you'd go get your fastest track guy from the spring and just like, hey, this is track practice for you, Get your sprints in. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So who do you got winning it?
I have England winning today, but then Spain's going to win the whole thing on Sunday.
If Argentina makes it,
they'll win.
They'll win it all because the rest.
Yeah.
There's going to be a mysterious.
They've got three straight games where you're like, wait a second here.
Exactly.
The Switzerland game, like honestly, like a lot of people were like, oh, you can't do that, but you can't say you want flopping eliminated, and then when you have a punitive measure to eliminate flopping, you can't go, oh, that's harsh. Like, if you're stupid enough to know the penalty for flopping and you're already on a yellow card, like, I mean, at some point, you got to be smart too. Like, you can't deliberately do that. It sucks because Argentina's the benefactor of it, and of course they're the benefactor of it. But
right, that's why they may win back-to-back World Cups because Messi. All right, let's move on to our trivia. And I have the question. You had a World Cup question last week, and it was. You want to just review that real quick while I?
Yeah, we went through. We had a couple of what country had the most World Cups, and that's Brazil with 5. And then I asked you to name all 8 teams that have ever won a World Cup. And then we went through that. It was Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina, England, France, Spain, Germany, and Italy were the 8 teams.
All right. So since it was the All-Star game last night, and we are a Cincinnati podcast here, we're gonna have a little Reds All-Star trivia for you. All right. So the last Reds player to win an All-Star game MVP was who? You got to be thinking.
No idea. Maybe. First guess will be somebody from, the 70s. So I'll say Johnny Bench.
No.
Is it that era? Or
1982 was the last time.
82. Wow.
1982 was the last time.
Who would have even been? I don't even know who would have been around then. See, was Rose still around then? With Pete Rose?
He was with the Phillies.
He was at the Phillies then? Okay. Let's see, 82.
If you want to play along, you can go ahead and just drop your guesses in the comments. Don't look, and then we'll read if anybody gets it on air next week.
So that would have been just before Eric Davis. So I don't know. I
remember this. I actually watched this game. So.
Yeah, I do not remember.
You want a clue?
Yeah, I'll take a clue.
All right. Venezuela. A lot of the current players looked up to him because he was one of the greats.
Yeah.
Played his entire career with the Reds. Not in the Hall of Fame, but in the Reds Hall of Fame. Should be.
Concepcion? No, Concepcion. He's Venezuelan? Okay.
Concepcion is the answer. So there you have it.
Yeah, you said Venezuelan. I was like, oh, the big cat. But I was like, no, he never played for the Reds. No, he was later than 82 too. So.
Right. So yeah, that is all. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. Now it's your turn. Are the Reds still capable of making a run after the All-Star break? Or should they already be thinking about selling at the trade deadline? Let us know in the comments. We'll read them every week, and your opinions often shape the future shows that we have. If you enjoyed today's episode, do us a favor and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with another sports fan for us. Don't forget to send in your answers to this week's trivia. If you played along, put it in. And thanks for spending part of your week with us. We'll see you next week. Everybody, take care.
See ya.